Hello and welcome everyone to our next episode of Help and Trade podcast, where we give space to entrepreneurs and their startups. My today's guest is Audrey Bisch, who has extensive experience in business development, finances, but also HR and recruitment. And this is going to be the focus of our today's podcast episode. Audrey, if you don't mind, the stage is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Stefan. So as you mentioned, my name is Audrey. I come from France. You might hear it with the accent. And yes, I'm here today to talk about recruitment mainly, but also my experience in business development.
Thank you, Audrey. So I have a list of all your experience so far. So starting with consultant, sales associate, marketing assistant, strategy and business development, manager and talent acquisition. That's quite a change. Please tell me, how did you develop to the stage of becoming an expert on HR and acquisition of new talents and stuff like that? What was your path towards that point?
Yeah, sure. So I studied in France. I did a master in sales and marketing with a minor in HR. And for me, it was very important to gain experience abroad. So after that, I've been also in Australia. I did an exchange program in India. And then I've been to Canada as well. And after that, I decided to come back to Europe. I got a first experience in Basel, where I've been living now for 4 years. And that's where I gained some extensive experience in HR and also business development. One part of my job was to develop network and find new customers. And the other part was to find consultants to realize some project for those customers. And that was very interesting experience because I was really in a startup environment. We were in a small office and it was quite new to be on the Swiss-German market. So we faced the challenge of recruiting German speaker, for example, for profile and getting to know where to find those profile and how to attract them, how to be appealing and how to be successful to complete a full recruitment process. So that's where I really could develop skills. And after that, I gained some experience more in training.
Training of your own coworkers, employees, or developing trainings which are then being sold by companies to other companies?
No, so it was more like training coworkers about how to use the system and training as well. Now I'm starting to do my own startup in consulting about training people about sales, how to be more successful regarding sales strategy and also about recruitment. So on one side, how to be better at presenting your profile, how to be better at writing your CV, conducting an interview and these kind of things. And on the other side, more regarding HR strategy for company themselves about, yes, okay, how do you manage to be successful to recruit and attract new talent?
Yes, this is why I'm so excited to have you on the podcast, because I have so many questions about how do we find the new people to come along on board of Help and Trade, for example. How do we filter out the right talents?
Yep.
It's all very important questions. And many startups don't realize, they think just a co-founder or two will do for a while and that's it. Whereas you always need to look for the way how to outsource, for example, or how to diversify the team as well. It's diversification of labor force is a big topic everywhere you go.
Yes.
Everybody acknowledges the importance of it, but not everybody sets it in motion. And I often saw, for example, that yes, we have a diverse team, but at the same time, it's very homogeneous in the cultural aspects, the values which it represents. So my question on that spot is, what is it exactly that people should look when talking about diversification of their teams? Because that's the first step that you go before you actually recruit someone.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, the first steps will be really to, draw a profile. Who do you want to have to join your team? Who does it make sense to have here? And when we are talking about diversification, there is three kinds of diversification. There is the geographical, where the person is coming from. There is the age diversification, like, do you choose someone with senior, junior, lots of experience, not lots of experience? Do you choose an intern? Do you choose a director? And that will go with other questions then. And then the last diversification is in terms of gender as well. More women, men, what is the best for this position? At this time, you really need to think also, what is the implication if I recruit this person? What will be the next steps? Do I need someone with very technical, like do I need a developer to go further on my market, or do I need a sales manager who would be able to be right away efficient, go meet clients and directly come back with, I signed my first contract? Do you want someone that you need time to manage, or do you want someone who is more like, right away efficient and who can directly start in this role? So this will more answer the question regarding the diversification of age, in terms of diversification for the culture, let's say. It's also very important to me to have very diverse culture, especially when you are working in Switzerland, where all the company have a very international mindset and an environment, that you can bring people from different backgrounds, then that will bring you more diversity and more value, different point of view as well. When you will have a new challenge and you will ask your team to brainstorm on something, you will be able to have very different perception.
So the bottom line of diversification is to have different perspectives on things. That would be the core value of it.
Yes.
What are the challenges of a really diverse team?
The challenge might be, first of all, the understanding of each other, because they might think that, oh yes, I have the best point of view. No, I'm the one who have the best point of view. And you might have then to really manage some conflicts, because everybody wants to make his own idea and show that, okay, his idea is the best or her idea is the best. So then you really need to bring common goal and common direction to make sure that, okay, everybody is running for the same strategy and everybody has the same common goal, to make sure that, yes, okay, this diversity becomes a strength and that everybody wants to move together and understand each other and get to learn more about the other culture and the other ideas.
I can tell from my own experience, I was part of various diverse teams during my consultancy career, and often the real challenge was the communication. We had people from different backgrounds where, given by the culture where they come from, the information input and output through the language was different. We had teams from the Far East, and if they said, for example, that they will do something, it didn't mean that they understood everything. Yeah. And there was then the whole challenge of, do we now need a management overhead locally there just to make sure that they understood what is supposed to be done and that they give questions if they don't? And that raised a lot of tension in the team, because it also increases the cost at the end of the day. So how do you go, for example, with that specific challenge of communication?
For me, it's all about management. So it's all about really setting goals and expectation in advance. I also had the same experience as you just described when I was working in India. Coming from Europe, for me, it was very important to do everything like 1 week, 2 weeks in advance to make sure that, yes, for the deadline, we are really ready and everything will be launched and it will be perfect. But for my co-workmates who were Indian, it was more, okay, yeah, let's start the day before the deadline or the night before the deadline or 2 hours before the deadline to work on the topic. So as a manager, when you are aware about that, then you can just play with the game, with the cards and be like, okay, then let's just say that the deadline is a week ahead of that. Or let's just explain to the team how the culture is working in India, or how the culture is working in Japan, or how is it to work with American colleagues. So, because at the end of the day, we all have different way of working, all have different values. And if you really make sure that everybody understand each other, then you can move forward regarding the communication and make sure that, okay, yes, maybe this person is telling you A, but actually it means B. But if you really get to know about the culture and have this exchange, then you can better understand your workmates and the company can move forward.
Seems to me like, how to put it, I wouldn't necessarily consider there is one right or wrong approach. It is also depending on the situation itself. Who is actually in the team? For example, my experience as well was, if it was only technical people talking to each other, really hardcore techies, there was no difference whether it was a person from India or there was a person from Germany or Italy or anywhere else. It was just strange to see that they were all working on the same, I would say, vibe or whatever you call it. But it didn't work with if you had a manager from India and you had a technical person in Germany, because there was so much of a difference culturally, communication-wise, of their values, what they understood. It was a disaster. And so I'm really wondering, how do then the startup teams supposed to proceed? Is it then easier to make a safe bet? Like, you go for the culture that you know, because you need to proceed fast? Or the higher value is in the different perspectives? Yeah,
I think there is no A or B options. It will depend on your own startup and what is your service that you are selling, what is the product that you are selling. For one startup, yes, it might be more important to go for the option, okay, I need the product fast, I need to know the quality, I need to be able to manage this and to have it within 2 weeks, 2 months, and to go directly for it. For another startup, it might be, okay, I know that on the long term, within 5 years, I want to achieve this goal. Actually, if it takes a bit longer, that's fine with me. I did this business plan in advance, so I know that I can manage it with this marketing strategy, recruitment strategy. So it will depend really on your own startup and what is the goal that you want to achieve. And it's all about the cost and the benefits and what it will bring you for the future.
Now, you also spoke a bit about the culture, the company culture. It is, for me, a bit of vague topic right now at the stage of where is Help in Trade right now. Just because, yes, we are pretty diverse. Italians, Swiss, I am from Slovakia. Great. So I was wondering, like, when actually is a culture of a startup visible enough to be kind of like a defined one, that you actually can put it on a paper, that then you know what kind of person do you need to search to fit your culture?
For me, this is something that you need to think about while you are creating your startup, while you are creating your business plan, while you are thinking, okay, what is my added value? What are my own values? What do I want my startup to look like if I'm thinking, okay, in 5 years, how is the startup? What are the values? What are the most important things for us? And it shouldn't be like, okay, at first I recruit some people and then I think, oh yeah, actually now that I have this bench of person, let's say that this is the culture. It should be the other way around. It should be, okay, I want my startup to have people who are optimists, who are open-minded, who are very curious. Okay, this is my values. Now I will put it on my website and then I will in interview challenge this when I recruit those person. So it's more about sitting together with the person with whom you are creating the startup and think, okay, guys, what is our values? What do we share in common and how do we move forward regarding that? And then what kind of person do we want to recruit based on that?
Now I have a better understanding. And of course, I always play with the notion of what are the values that we are representing within Help in Trade. That kind of mixture that we have, I like it very much because it's very, from my consideration, it's healthy because it's very diverse and people have different perspectives. We have technical people just as well, now marketing, and I'm here for everything else. But I'm also thinking, like, what would be the next step if I was to hire the next guy that will help us, or a girl, to be
yes,
neutral about this. So I was thinking, like, how to proceed this. Do you have kind of like a roadmap? How do you go on with, how do you find a specific person? Where do you find the person? How to filter?
Yeah. Definitely. So the first steps will be definitely to define the profile that you are looking for. Make sure, okay, define in terms of, okay, what is the experience this person should bring, the education, and draw a basic profile about, okay, what you will advertise when you talk to person and say, oh, yes, currently I'm looking for someone who is like that. We are recruiting, we are hiring, we want this kind of person. So that would be the first steps, really to define what you are looking for. And then the second is really to first look the easiest way to recruit this person. So within your own network, that's definitely a good thing in a way that then you most of the time already know the quality of this person and you have more trust. The second way would be also through the social media. LinkedIn, for example, advertising on your own account. Hi, we are hiring for the startup. Another way would be also the network through your own school, alumni network, where most of the time people are like, yeah, true, I have been doing this business school or this master a long time ago. Maybe there is some other people who are right now looking for an internship or who actually work there already for 5 years. So yes, that's the question about where you look for those people. And then the last one also is, how do you attract those people? How do you make sure that you have a difference on the market? How do you make sure that actually once you find the perfect person, which would be the perfect fit for your team, that yes, this person will sign and come you and join you. And this is really about the whole process that you will put in place to make sure that you have one recruitment process which is very clean, that it's always the same process and that you keep your word. If you say, yes, I will give you a feedback in 2 weeks, that yes, you do give a feedback in 2 weeks and not in 3 weeks, not in 4 weeks, nor not in a month, or on the other side, if you say, yeah, I will give you a feedback in 1 week, then you really do it. And that you really follow up with those candidates and those person who might join you, because maybe today they are not the perfect fit, but actually in 2 years or in 6 months, you might be looking for someone and then you might just have to call this person again. And because you've been nice, because you had a good relation, because you gave a great feedback, then this person will be, yes, I'm happy to join. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear for you for 3 weeks. No, thanks. Or for a month. No, it's okay. You never gave me a feedback. I will not join you. So it's also about the quality of the recruitment process.
Oh, I can say from my experience when I was unemployed and looking for a job a long time ago, I really hated those huge portals of big corporate companies. Their process always looked the same. Fill all the papers, fill all the documents, put it in our system. And then it took sometimes 3 months before they say no, without even talking to you why or so. What a waste of time. my feeling of it was, what the hell is this? It didn't encourage me to anyhow interact with the company, with the brand itself. It just made me really neglectable against them.
That's a very good example, actually. And yeah, I mean, when you are looking for someone, you can think about all the recruitment process you've been through, what you didn't like, what you learned out of it, and how you will implement a brand image.
Two things in that point. One would be, how do you filter the best candidate? Or how do you prioritize the best candidates?
That's a very good question, because most of the time when you look for someone, you want the perfect fit. You want the person who has everything and who will match perfectly. And after some point, you might realize that actually this person is not existing on the market, or is not available, or is too expensive, or you cannot find. So then you really need to prioritize what are the must things that you need to have within your team. And what is, okay, if this person doesn't have it, if, I don't know, the person has 2 years experience instead of 5, and in the end it's not so much relevant because the person has the right experience, then you might be, okay, let's filter this way. And then when you have many CVs, once you really define, okay, what you are looking for exactly, a first very fast way of filtering is just to do like 10 minutes call. Hi, I saw you apply to our company. What are you looking for? Just 10 minutes conversation to just have a first feeling about if the person is motivated, available. Can this person work in Switzerland, for example, or not? This person already here? If it fits also with your value.
I must say I have a bit of experience with that.
Okay.
So it's not completely unfamiliar to me. In the time when I was working for Accenture, I was in charge of getting the interns for our project. And it was very fascinating to me because it was the first time I was in charge of actually getting someone's project. It was awesome. I was super young back then. But nevertheless, what we actually did was we first filtered the CVs. Sometimes there were so many CVs that we just went on how does it look? How does it look structured? Can I find the information right away so that the eye was jumping to the specific information in a CV? That was the first point. Second point, out of those 10, we called all of them. And if they couldn't set up a date within the next 2 weeks, then it was too late. And then we had them on a phone. After the phone, we gave them another one, which was more of a testing their skills. So giving questions really specifically into the direction of what is the project management about? How is it different to, research work? Where is your experience? To make them kind of sweat, I would say. To filter the best out of the best. I'm not sure if that's the best approach to do so. Some would say that there was a harsh experience just from an internship, but it helped us to get the best people, for sure. And I think I'll follow the same procedure also for Help and Trade.
Here, I think we really need to keep into account that when you are a startup, people don't know you. You might not receive 100 CV, or if they do know you, they don't know what you are doing, or you don't have yet a brand image on the market. So it's more like, the first thing, okay, how do you attract and how are you visible on this market to receive as many CV as you just mentioned? And once you have the CV, you can go, as you mentioned, through pre-call. I think most of the company are doing it this way as well. And, you might not have the time as well to challenge all of them and to spend many times on this, because as an entrepreneur, you might have 10 things to do at the same time. So you need really to set up an efficient process. You're totally right when you are saying, looking at the CV, if you can find the keyword, if you can find what you are looking for, if it's structure. And then regarding the process itself, it's really something that you can define at the beginning. What is the recruitment process that you will have for everyone? Would it be like pre-call, then 1 hour face-to-face interview, then case study, then another interview? Would it be just, 30 minutes pre-call, 1 hour case study, 1 hour face-to-face interview? That's up to you and what is your business as well. What I would recommend is that you have interview with first one team member, and then that the last interview is with the owner of the startup. In case you are just one in the startup, what you can do is just ask a friend or someone to be here with you, maybe a more neutral mindset, because I know that when it's your own startup, you might get emotional and might be like, I don't know, I want the perfect person, and you might be a bit less rational. So having someone more neutral here to help you regarding the recruitment process might be very good for you. And it's a very difficult decision to make, to choose between different candidates and have them onboarded for quite a long time. So it's always helpful if someone can also be here.
That's an interesting point, because I'm thinking now, is there a specific benchmark from which the startup should aim to get external help to hire the best candidates? Like going for headhunters or specific platforms which provide you the potential employees or the candidates or the CVs? Or should it first keep it all in their own hands? What would be, I mean, it's also a question of cost, of course, at the end of the day.
Yes, there is no right or wrong. It once again depends on the startup, what is your business model and what is the money you have also. Because going through external agency might be very good in terms of saving time, because those agencies most of the time already have a very good pool of person, but it might be costing more, because when you are recruiting someone like on a permanent contract, for example, they will charge you around 20% of the salary of this person. Then another option is like if you are looking for someone and you are not so sure what will be the workload, you can go through temporary contract, like where your employee will be paid like hourly, and then you have less cost. So then this is also a solution. And then the last one will be to go through freelancer, because then the freelancer most of the time already have a good network. They are ready they can directly come and work on this specific topic. And I would suggest to do on one side, starting to create a pool of candidates for your own. And if you see that, yes, after 1-2 weeks, by advertising on LinkedIn, on alumni network, through all your own network that you know, if it's not working, then yes, slowly start to think, okay, do I have the time to wait for someone? Or actually, if I wait 6 months, it's fine. Or do I really need someone urgently? And then, going through an external agency, which will bring someone faster, makes sense.
What are the expected costs of an external agency or a headhunter itself?
Most of the time, it's based on the yearly salary of this person. So if you recruit someone on yearly salary, they will take 20% of the yearly salary.
Is there a condition that the employee actually has to stay for 1 year in the company, or is it being paid out right away?
Usually it's paid out after 3 months, once after the trial period.
Can be quite a lot of money.
Yes, definitely.
So, all right.
I mean, most of the time you've got contract with the agency where it's like, okay, if the person is leaving the company after 3 weeks, they help you again, and then they will not charge you, or they will find someone to replace this person.
Startups are a very dynamic environment, so culture may also shift throughout the time. But also the purpose of the startups may change because they have to pivot, the business case may change. As I said, it's a very dynamic environment. So how do you say goodbye to the employees which were a perfect fit at the very beginning, but are not fitting any longer?
No, it's very interesting, because most of the time if someone is not a good fit anymore to the company, the person will feel as well not as much satisfied as at the beginning. And this person will tend to leave either on his own. Otherwise, it's all about management. It's about, okay, how do you first tell this person, okay, here are my expectations right now, the startup change, we are going more in this direction, and are you willing to adapt? And this is one thing. You really need to set up different steps before telling to this person that it's over. So before going to this last step, just make sure that, you've been trying everything before, you've been talking with this person has been trying hard, and then it's a very difficult decision to make.
I'm thinking right now also about the age difference, which often comes as a topic. Startups, dynamic, young teams, everything is moving on fast. And you don't see a lot of diversity in the sense of age, for example, so that they hire older people for the startups. I think it's a big mistake, because they can bring a lot of value. There is a lot of experience that can be gained by people who are 50 and above. Yes,
definitely. I agree that it can bring you lots of experience, and it can avoid you to manage, for example, this person in a more micromanagement way. This person might be more effective right away. I've seen some startup where actually you do have senior person, like senior sales director, but then the cost in terms of salary is much higher. So it's the question, okay, how much are you willing to invest, and what will be the return on this investment if you hire a senior person? And sometimes, in terms of strategy, it might be much better to hire someone which is already senior, who have all the experience, and which will actually teach you something. And in terms of management, you will spend much less time with this person, and it will bring you really a huge added value, rather than hiring someone which is more junior, where you will spend more time with this person, explaining more, teaching more, rather than learning from this person. It's always a balance to have, and always, okay, which money do you have? How do you want to invest it? And what will be the return on investment?
All sounds very plausible and very valid. So we talked about the diversity. We talked also about where to get the right fit. How do you define the right fit? The cultural values all behind that. Are there some specific topics or from your own experience which people tend to overlook when they hire people or they're trying to find the right fit for the startup?
I think it's a very interesting question because it depends on the culture. When I was working in Australia and Canada, people were more looking at the experience. So you could have had a master in, I don't know, art and then be working in finance. That was okay. That was fine as long as you prove it, and they will be more hiring you in a way, okay, I hire you, I know that you can make it, and they give you trust, and then either you can make it and that's fine, either you cannot, and then it's over. So what I saw in Europe, it's much more, you need to prove it before doing it. So it's much more, okay, show me that you have the right diploma, show me that you have then a bit of experience, and then I will trust you. So I would say that yes, in Europe, we might overlook the education. At the same time, Switzerland is such a huge market in terms of talent and in terms of possibility that everybody wants to come here. So that might also be one filter to make sure that, yeah, you only get qualified people in terms of education already. But yes, I would say sometimes it's much important to look at the experience and at the behavior rather than at the education itself.
Well, Audrey, thank you very much for the information so far provided. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience?
Yes, sure. I think that something which is sometimes also underestimated is during the interview is really to present your own company and to explain your story, to really be attracting and to really appeal this person. And in terms of also interview itself, you should really always have the same structure to make sure that you ask the same questions at the candidates and that there is no information that you are missing out. I remember the first interview I did, it was supposed to last around 1 hour, and after 30 minutes I was done. I was like, oops. And then I went out of the room and then say bye and everything, and then I thought, oh no, I forgot to ask this and I forgot to ask that, and I don't know about this and I don't know about that. So it can be very interesting for you to just have a document in front of you with, okay, all the key information that you need and to ask it.
When you're hiring people for a startup, would you rather look at the hard skills or the soft skills as a filtering aspect?
I would say at the soft skills, because as you mentioned, a startup is a very dynamic environment. And if you have someone who cannot adapt, who needs to have always like clear planning, clear direction, and with more like executing all the time, this person might not be the good fit for you. And so I think soft skills is very important because you really need to have person who are agile, who can make sure that they can evolve and that if there is some change, they won't feel bad about it, and that they will see that actually as a challenge rather than which is not so nice or that they don't like.
My previous manager used to say, if a problem has a solution, it's not a problem, it's a challenge. I like it very much because it makes you then rethink a lot of challenges that you have ahead. If it has a solution, it has a solution. Then you just have to follow the process and it's done. Check. You don't have to think about it twice. Really focus on something that you don't know how to solve. Then that's a real problem rather than just challenges. Challenges always there, always going to be there. And I suppose it's going to be the same for the recruitment process as well.
Definitely.
And with that, Audrey, I think we are through the most pressing questions. Of course, we could go forever, but I'm already very thankful for all the information that you shared with our audience on our podcast. If there is anything else you would like to share with our audience, I know you're starting your own business, so how do people actually reach out to you would be very helpful for you too.
Yes, so I'm currently creating my own website, so it will be available within 2 weeks. Otherwise, LinkedIn is always a good way to reach out, pretty much everything.
Okay, great. And with that, thank you very much for being our guest on Helping Trade podcast. I'll make sure to share your LinkedIn profile and your contact details, etc. on our website, on our blog post and our social media as well.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
I thank you for all the information. Thank you for that. And with that, thank you very much for listening, dear audience. It was great to have Audrey here. It was really fascinating, very interesting, and I think I learned a lot today about the recruitment process. And if you have any questions, if you have any remarks, comments, whatsoever, want to reach out to Audrey, just connect with us via social media. It's Help and Trade on Facebook or Help and Trade 1 on Twitter, and also on LinkedIn you can reach out to us or via SoundCloud itself. And yeah, stay tuned. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.